I never thought a simple joke could change my life forever. My sister, Lily, has always had this mischievous streak, a smirk, a sparkle in her eyes, and the uncanny ability to make everyone, including me, underestimate her. But that day, she outdid herself. I walked into the house after a long day at work, tired and expecting nothing more than the usual mundane evening. Instead, the apartment smelled faintly of perfume I didn't recognize, and my sister greeted me with that all-too-knowing grin. I'm Alex, 24, working in a mid-sized marketing firm downtown. Most people know me as the quiet, dependable guy who never really steps out of line. I've always had a curiosity for fashion, an appreciation for aesthetics that goes beyond casual interest, but I never acted on it openly. Clothes, makeup, hairstyles, they were a private world I admired from a distance. Sometimes I tried small experiments in my room, but nothing ever serious. I had responsibilities, and there were lines I never dared cross until Lily decided to blur them completely. That evening, she handed me a sealed envelope with a simple note inside. For a little fun. Don't overthink it. Suspicious, I hesitated. My instincts screamed prank, but curiosity won. I opened it to find a set of instructions. Become me for the day. Dress, act, and look exactly like me. You won't regret it. At first, I laughed, thinking this was one of her harmless jokes. But the way she looked at me, eyes sharp, expectant, made me hesitate. It wasn't a typical dare. It was different. She handed me a carefully arranged outfit, a dress I knew she would never let me wear voluntarily, a wig that perfectly mimicked her hair, and makeup that transformed the familiar features of my face into her delicate contours. I felt a strange cocktail of fear and exhilaration. Dressing like my sister seemed absurd, yet thrilling. I wondered if this was going to be a harmless prank or a test I wasn't prepared for. The thought of being seen as someone else, especially Lily, both terrified and excited me. My hands trembled slightly as I held the wig, feeling the smooth strands slip through my fingers. As I changed into her clothes, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. The reflection staring back wasn't just a joke. It was me, but altered. Softer features, styled hair. The dress hugging my body in ways that made me hyper-aware of every curve. My heartbeat quickened. For the first time, I felt the thrill of transformation in a way that went beyond costume play. This was something else. Lily watched silently, her grin growing wider. Not bad, she said finally, her voice teasing but with a hint of challenge. You look almost like me. Almost. I laughed nervously, tugging at the hem of the skirt, adjusting the wig. I tried to act casual, but the sensation of the clothes, the unfamiliar weight of the wig, and the subtle pressure of makeup on my skin made me hyper-aware. Every movement was a performance, every glance in the mirror a test. You're going to go out like that, Lily said suddenly, her tone leaving no room for argument. Take a walk to the corner store. Be me. Don't forget, everyone has to think you're me. Don't slip up. My stomach sank. I wanted to protest, to argue that this was ridiculous, but the spark of challenge, and something deeper unspoken, kept me rooted. This wasn't just a prank anymore. It was a trial of identity, confidence, and daring. I glanced at my reflection again. The line between Alex and Lily blurred. Was I pretending, or was I starting to enjoy this strange, exhilarating version of myself? My pulse quickened at the thought that I might never be the same again. By the time I stepped out of the apartment, fully dressed, wig perfectly set, makeup flawless, the world outside seemed unfamiliar. People glanced at me differently, some with curiosity, others with polite smiles. Every step in heels made me conscious of my posture. Every turn of my head exaggerated my new persona. Lily had given me more than a prank. She had handed me a lens into an alternate reality, one where I could explore a hidden side of myself I'd barely acknowledged. The first few minutes of walking were surreal. Cars passed, neighbors waved, and I responded in Lily's voice almost instinctively. Each compliment, each confused glance, sent shivers down my spine. I realized that stepping into her shoes, literally, was more transformative than I'd ever imagined. And that's when the first ripple of fear struck me. What if I couldn't go back? What if this prank became permanent? The idea made my heart pound, but alongside it was an undeniable thrill. I was walking as her, acting as her, and for the first time, I felt a dangerous but intoxicating freedom. Little did I know that evening was just the beginning. The prank, the transformation, the thrill, all of it would soon spiral into a reality I could neither ignore nor escape. By the time I returned home, I would be facing more than just laughter or teasing. I would be staring at a new life, a life where Alex might never fully return. After that first walk outside, my mind was a storm. Every step, every glance, every whisper from strangers felt magnified. Was this still a prank, or had Lily crossed some invisible line? I felt exposed, yet strangely exhilarated. Wearing her clothes and acting as her, I was hyper-aware of every movement. The sway of the dress, the pressure of the heels, the weight of the wig, all sensations that felt alien, yet thrilling. I retreated to my room, staring at my reflection for what felt like hours. My hands traced the curves of the dress, the contours of my face altered by makeup. For the first time, I questioned the boundaries between who I was and who I appeared to be. Alex or Lily? The fear of being caught gnawed at me. What if Emma or my colleagues saw me like this? What if someone recognized the deception? But beneath that anxiety, a pulsing thrill stirred. I felt alive in a way I never had before. This dual existence was intoxicating. The physical transformation was meticulous. Lily had prepared everything. Her favorite dress, the wig, makeup perfectly matched to her complexion. I studied her techniques as I applied eyeliner, blended foundation, and adjusted lipstick. Each stroke reshaped not only my face but my confidence. Stepping into her heels was a ritual in itself. My first attempts wobbled as I tried to maintain balance. The sound of the heels against the hardwood floor was unnervingly loud in the quiet apartment. With every careful step, I felt more like her, and yet more aware of my own vulnerability. The mirror became my confessional. I experimented with expressions, gestures, even the tilt of my head. Alex's awkwardness melted slowly, replaced by a tentative elegance I hadn't known I could possess. Every glance, every small smile felt like practice for a performance, and the audience might arrive at any moment. Lily's prank was evolving into a game of stealth. Emma, my girlfriend, was supposed to be out all evening, but I couldn't shake the fear she'd return early. Each noise, footsteps in the hallway, a car door slamming, even the faint buzz of a neighbor's phone, set my nerves on edge. I moved cautiously, aware of every sound, every shadow. The apartment that had once been familiar now felt like a stage for my performance. Every object, tables, mirrors, the phone, seemed to demand careful interaction, a single misstep threatening to expose my secret. As I practiced walking, talking, even laughing like Lily, the thrill intensified. I found myself adopting her expressions naturally, mimicking her voice when I muttered under my breath. Alex was fading. Lily, or a version of her, was emerging. The suspense peaked when Lily suggested I meet her at the local cafe to run errands. My stomach twisted. Public exposure meant potential witnesses, neighbors, acquaintances, strangers who might recognize me. The fear of being caught collided with the thrill of transformation. I dressed carefully, selecting accessories she would choose. Each piece heightened my anxiety. The delicate bracelet, the perfectly styled hair, the subtle scent of her perfume lingering in the air. By the time I left the apartment, I wasn't just Alex pretending. I was a convincing replica of my sister. Every interaction was a tightrope. Ordering coffee, holding the door for strangers, even laughing at the barista's jokes, I had to think and act like Lily. And each compliment I received, each lingering glance, sent a rush of adrenaline through me. By the time we returned home, my dual identity felt more real than ever. I caught myself in the mirror, hesitating before removing the wig and makeup. Part of me didn't want to. Alex's reflection seemed like a stranger now, distant and less appealing compared to the vibrancy of Lily's persona I'd inhabited. Fear, excitement, shame, and thrill swirled together. I realized the prank had grown into something deeper, an exploration of identity and desire I hadn't expected. Each time I looked in the mirror, I wondered, if Alex disappeared entirely, would I regret it, or would I embrace this new life? Just as I began to relax, a sharp knock on the door startled me. My heart leapt. Who could it be? Emma? A neighbor? Lily herself, perhaps, checking if I'd succeeded? My reflection in the mirror caught my anxious eyes, the wig slightly askew, the dress rumpled from hurried movements. The suspense tightened like a noose. I had navigated the first steps of transformation, survived public scrutiny, and balanced fear with thrill, but now, the real test was about to begin. Someone was outside, and I had no choice but to respond. The knock at the door made my heart pound. Hands trembling, I peeked through the peephole. It wasn't Emma. It was my neighbor, Mrs. Daniels, holding a small package and wearing that knowing smile that made me instantly nervous. "Oh, I thought I'd drop this off for Lily. I didn't realize she wasn't home," she said cheerfully, completely unaware of the truth. My mind raced. If she recognized me as anything other than Lily, the entire charade would collapse. I swallowed hard, forcing a smile and opening the door. Thanks, Mrs. Daniels. Lily asked me to grab this for her." My voice trembled slightly, too high-pitched, too deliberate. She handed me the package, her eyes lingering suspiciously on my face. I clutched it to my chest like a shield, praying she wouldn't notice the subtle differences between me and Lily. Every second stretched endlessly, each heartbeat echoing like a drum. After Mrs. Daniels left, I exhaled shakily, but the tension didn't leave. Emma was due back any moment. I could hear the distant sound of her car pulling into the driveway. Panic surged. I fumbled with the zipper of the dress, trying to make sure everything was perfect. The wig shifted slightly, and my heels clicked too loudly on the floor as I repositioned them. My reflection in the mirror mocked me. The perfectly styled persona I had built could crumble with a single wrong move. The door opened. Emma stepped inside, humming softly. My breath caught. I froze, trying to appear natural. "Hey, Lily?" she asked, tilting her head. Something in her tone was cautious, almost suspicious. "Yes." Hi, Emma," I replied, forcing a relaxed laugh. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to run, to change, to undo this moment, but I couldn't. Not yet. Emma's gaze scanned me from head to toe. I felt her eyes on my dress, the wig, the makeup. My stomach twisted with fear. Would she notice the subtle differences? The way I moved, the slight hesitation in my smile, the nervous tremor in my hands? She smiled faintly, perhaps convinced, perhaps suspicious. "You look different," she said softly. Her tone wasn't accusing, but it carried weight. My mind spun with questions. Did she know? Was she testing me? Or was she simply making a casual observation? I could feel the adrenaline coursing through me. Each second felt like an eternity, every small gesture magnified. My heart raced, palms sweaty. This was no longer just a prank. This was survival, identity, and deception all intertwined. I excused myself to the bathroom, heart hammering. The mirror reflected a stranger. My makeup was perfect, my dress immaculate, but the person staring back wasn't entirely me. Alex's features peeked through, hesitant, unsure, conflicted. I reached out and touched my reflection. My fingers trembled on the glass. The wig slightly shifted. My dress clung differently. This was more than a disguise. It was a new identity, a mask I couldn't easily remove without losing part of myself. In that moment, the symbolic weight hit me. This wasn't just a prank. It wasn't just a game. I was standing at the edge of a transformation that could redefine who I was forever. Emma stepped toward the bathroom, calling my name casually. My pulse raced. I had to act naturally, to stay in character, to maintain Lily's persona. Each interaction, each word, each movement became a balancing act. I felt the thrill of the transformation collide with the fear of exposure. A dropped heel, a mispronounced word, a hesitant laugh. Any one of these could unravel everything. The sound of her approaching steps grew louder. My breath caught in my throat. I adjusted my posture, tilted my head, and tried to match Lily's natural grace. But inside, my anxiety threatened to spill over. Just as Emma reached the bathroom door, the neighbor's earlier visit replayed in my mind. What if someone else saw me like this? What if Lily herself returned early, discovering her twin in the midst of an identity transformation? I realized the challenge wasn't just about appearances, it was about controlling every aspect of behavior, every nuance of expression, every detail of movement. I had to become Lily entirely, or risk the truth being exposed. The pressure was suffocating. I felt the weight of dual identities pressing down. Alex wanted to revert, to escape, but a deeper, forbidden curiosity urged me to continue. The bathroom door creaked slightly. I froze, breath caught, eyes locked on my reflection. Outside, Emma called again, closer this time. The thrill, fear, and exhilaration surged simultaneously. One small sound, one slip, one misstep, and the secret, the game, the transformation could all end. The story cuts here, leaving viewers suspended. Would Emma discover the truth? Would Alex fully embrace this new identity, or retreat to his old life? Who else might uncover the secret? The sound of Emma's footsteps on the hallway floor was deafening in my ears. Each tap of her heels echoed like a countdown, every second stretching into an eternity. I gripped the edge of the bathroom counter, my fingers trembling as I tried to steady my racing heart. Through the slightly ajar door, I could see her shadow moving closer, a faint smile on her lips that made my stomach twist with dread and anticipation. I had to remain Lily, every inch of me screaming to retreat, to tear off the wig, to shove the dress aside, but I couldn't. Not yet. Lily, Emma called softly, her voice carrying that casual tone that made it impossible to gauge suspicion. My breath caught. I forced a calm laugh, tilting my head just like Lily would, adjusting my posture, so every gesture seemed natural. Yes, hey, Emma, I replied, my voice slightly higher than usual, trembling just enough to feel authentic. She stepped closer, peering into the bathroom with a curious glint in her eyes. I could see the way she studied me, every movement, every blink. Was she suspicious? Or simply intrigued? My mind raced, calculating every possible outcome. One misstep, one hesitation, and the secret would unravel. I looked into the mirror, and for a fleeting moment, it was no longer just Alex or Lily. It was both, tangled together in a reflection that didn't fully belong to either. My fingers traced the line of my jaw, the curve of my lips, and the gentle fall of the wig over my shoulders. It was symbolic. The transformation wasn't just physical, it had seeped into my mind, my identity, my very essence. And now, with Emma so close, every heartbeat, every breath was a reminder of how fragile this new existence was. Suddenly, there was a faint thump from the living room. My eyes widened. Was it just the cat knocking something over, or had someone know something revealed the truth? Emma's head snapped toward the sound, and I felt my stomach drop. "Did you hear that?" she asked, her voice calm but tinged with curiosity. My pulse raced. I shook my head subtly, forcing a casual laugh. "Probably nothing, just the wind, maybe?" Her eyes lingered on me, and I felt the seconds stretch endlessly. The package from Mrs. Daniels, the fallen wig, the precarious heels, all these small details could betray me. I was walking a razor's edge between exposure and control. As she moved past the bathroom door, I let out a quiet breath I didn't realize I was holding. But the relief was fleeting. The fear of discovery was still there, clawing at me from the shadows. I thought about everything that had led me here, the prank, the secret transformations, the thrill of slipping into Lily's persona. It had started as fun, as a game, but now it had grown into something deeper, something I couldn't fully control. Emma's presence, her casual yet penetrating gaze, reminded me that the world outside the mirror didn't care about my internal struggle. The stakes were real, and the consequences of failure could be devastating. Emma disappeared down the hallway, and I leaned against the counter, trembling. My reflection stared back at me. Alex, Lily, and something in between. I reached out and touched the glass, wishing I could somehow freeze time, wishing I could pause this delicate balance. But life didn't wait. Footsteps, voices, the world, everything demanded I choose, that I act. And in that moment, I realized the story wasn't over. The prank, the transformation, the thrill, it had only just begun. The screen would cut to black, leaving viewers with a single, electrifying question. Would Alex keep living as Lily, or would the truth finally come crashing down? And how would Emma react when she discovers what's really been happening behind the closed doors?